Okay, so in this video, I want to talk about interpretations of the second derivative. So let's say we have some function f of x which represents something. It measures something, and I want to ask what does f double prime of x represent, or what does it measure, right? And we ask this question about the first derivative, right? If we have a function, we ask what does the first derivative measure, and that's what section 2.4 was all about. And so now we can ask the same question about the second derivative. And I think the best way to do this is to just ask the question about the first derivative twice. So we understand how to represent f prime of x and what it measures. Whatever the function is, f prime of x, it measures the rate of change of the function. So it depends what the situation is, but we understand how to interpret this. And so what I would say is, if we understand f prime of x, to understand f double prime of x, what we should do is think about it as the derivative of f prime. So rather than thinking about it as the second derivative of the original function, what I'd say is I would write down what f prime of x measures, and then think about it as the first derivative of this new function. So f double prime of x is the rate of change of f prime of x. So let's do a specific example. So let's say that f of x is my position at time x. So it's a position function at time x. And so I'm going to ask the question, what is f double prime of x? And so let's ask the question, what is the derivative first? So f prime of x it's the rate of change of position. And so we know this as, this is the velocity function, right? So this is the velocity. And so now if I want to ask what is the second derivative of the original function measuring, it's best to just ask what is the derivative of this new function measuring. So f double prime of x, well, it's the rate of change of this new function, the velocity. So it's the rate of change of velocity. So it's how fast your velocity is changing, and this is what we call acceleration. And so you can do this for if your function is measuring something else besides position. If you're asked what is the second derivative measuring, instead of sort of doing it in one step, what I would say is ask yourself, what is the first derivative measuring? Write that down. And then ask yourself, well, the second derivative is the derivative of that. So what is the rate of change of this new function? And what does that measure?